Hi there, my name is Brittany, and I'm here today to provide you with a bit of guidance on submitting your application and nomination to the 2023 edition of the UN SDG Action Awards. So just as a bit of background information, the UN SDG Action Awards is a signature program of the UN SDG Action Campaign that's seeking initiatives and individuals that mobilize, inspire, and connect people to drive positive change. Over 3,000 applications are submitted every year from over 150 countries. A really exciting part of the program is that finalists are invited every year to participate in the UN SDG Action Awards ceremony that's happening in this summer of 2023, with the winners being unveiled directly at the ceremony itself. So the location actually has yet to be revealed, but you can sign up for our newsletter in the comments to not miss that announcement. So it's a very exciting program overall. This year, the application and nomination window is open until the 30th of April. So a very exciting part of the program is that finalists will be invited to a special live UN SDG Action Awards ceremony, which is happening in summer 2023. And more specifically, it's happening on the 24th of July in Rome, Italy. And winners are going to be announced directly at the ceremony itself. We're also very pleased to announce that we have a deadline extension on the application and nomination period. So you have now until the 7th of May to submit your application or nomination to be considered to be one of the finalists in this edition of the UN SDG Action Awards program. So to get started, you're first going to want to go to our website, sdgactionawards.org, right here. And you'll need to decide if you'll be applying or nominating for an SDG Action Award. So under the application categories, these are for initiatives only. We have the categories of mobilize, inspire, and connect. So I'll just quickly go over those three with you. So mobilize, this is really for initiatives that turn apathy into action by mobilizing hundreds of thousands or even millions of individuals to take actions for the SDGs. So we're really looking for high impact here, typically involving collective and coordinated actions that mobilize people to flip the script for the 2030 agenda. So big numbers is really the key for the Mobilize category. In the Inspire category, we're looking for initiatives that harness the power of creativity to inspire positive change and shift behavior for the SDGs. So we're seeking initiatives and inspirational campaigns that flip the script and shift individual behavior and/or public policies. And finally, for the application categories, we have Connect. So here we're looking for initiatives that turn division into unity by connecting diverse sectors and partners from citizens to institutions to accelerate progress on the SDGs. So we're looking for initiatives that flip the script, connect people, organizations, and institutions to harness commitments and accountability towards the SDGs. So mobilize, connect, and inspire, like I said, these are the categories you can apply to with an initiative. And the other category, change maker, this one's a bit different because this is a category where you nominate an individual. So this category is not for initiatives. So the change maker category, here we're really looking for outstanding individuals who demonstrate that the power is in our hands to flip the script and enact transformative change. Their actions have had an extraordinary impact towards the SDGs on the ground, whilst empowering communities to create a multiplying effect. So once you decide which category you want to apply to, your next step would naturally be to go to the apply button here. So here again, you have the categories just without the description, and you choose which one you want to apply for. Here, our app Mobilize, Inspire, and Connect. Well, here we have Changemaker. Before you apply though, it's important maybe to familiarize yourself with the judging criteria so you know what you need to put in the application before you start it. So the judging criteria is conveniently just on this page as well. Here we have it. So judges are looking for impact. So what is the impact of the initiative? How many people are impacted concretely? What's the number of sectors involved? Is there policy and legislation created from it? So here we're looking for the hard numbers essentially. And importantly, this is also demonstrating that your initiative is moving beyond an idea. So for the SDG Action Awards, it's very important that the initiative already has proven and concrete impact It can't just be a concept, unfortunately. Maybe that would be more relevant for something like the Global Week to Act for SDGs to show what's up and coming, what your organization's working on. But for the SDG Action Awards itself, we need to have clear proof of impact. The next judging criteria that will be looked at is the approach. So how innovative is the strategy? Is it breakthrough? Is it engaging? Is it those who are left behind? So something that's really new. And then we have scalability and replicability. So does this initiative have the potential to be scaled up or replicated in other contexts to accelerate the SDGs? And is there any evidence of this initiative already being scaled up? So this is what judges look for with all applications and nominations. And then additionally, for the nomination category, for the changemaker category, there's one additional criteria that they look at, and that is the multiplier effect. So how has the individual impacted beyond his, her, their initial goal? Do they manage to inspire positive change while moving beyond this initial goal? So this is really looking, for the Gretas of the world, the big change makers. And one more tip before we go ahead and proceed with clicking on that apply here or nominate here button, I'd highly recommend to look at the application guidance at the bottom of this page. This is very convenient because it takes you through the whole application without having to actually open an application and start writing in it. So it's a sneak preview. What does the application look like? What are the questions that you're going to be asked? And it's a simple drop down under each of the questions here. So there you get an idea of what's coming up your way before you start. So let's then jump into the applications and the nominations. So we're ready to apply then. So we just click here. And now we're brought to the application portal. The information here is the same as what's detailed on our website. Here again, we have the 3 categories that you can apply to with their definition. But don't worry, in the application itself, you can select which specific category you want to apply to. So we'll begin by clicking apply. And here we can name our application. It's best to name the application with the initiative you're applying with. So in this case, I'm using an example from last year. So Survivors Say No More Ecuador, this was actually our Mobilize winner for 2022. So just for the sake of this example, this is the application name I'm using. And then we're going to click Create Application. So here we are on the main navigation page. As you can see, there's a short series of tasks here to complete in order to ultimately be able to submit your application. Each of the tasks, when you click on it, it contains a form. So we'll go through each of them one by one, starting with contact information. Just as it sounds, we'd like to know your name and your email address. Don't worry, all of this information will be kept confidential. We require this information so that we may contact you in the event that your initiative is selected as a finalist. So once you enter that information, just scroll down to the bottom and mark as complete, and we'll meet you back at the main navigation page. So here we are back at the main navigation page. You can see that contact information has been successfully submitted as there's a green check mark right here. So let's now move on to basic information. Just so you know, from here on out, any information you enter in your application, this is the information that's going to the technical review panel and eventually the high-level panel of judges if you're selected as a finalist. So again, I've entered the name of the initiative. We then ask, where is your initiative implemented? So in this case, I put Ecuador. If you're active in multiple countries, of course, you can select multiple countries. And if you are an initiative that's active globally, then we have a button at the very bottom, global right here. So you don't have to check each individual country. Then we'd like to know which cities your initiative is implemented in. Here you can put each city separated by a comma simply. And then, of course, the team or the organization behind the initiative. So it's sometimes the case that the team or the organization, these are different. These can be different. If you're a small initiative, it's perhaps that your initiative name is the same as your organization name. But for those larger organizations, it's often that an organization will have many sub-initiatives. So, for example, one of our past finalists was called the Voice to Rep initiative. So this was the name of their initiative. This was their program, but the organization was called the Accountability Lab. So it depends a bit on the hierarchy of your organization, but here's your chance to say, what exactly is the overarching organization that is behind that specific initiative that you're applying with. And what type of organization is leading the initiative? So what sector of society does your initiative belong to? Of course, you have the option of other here if you cannot find one that's applicable to you. Next up, we're asking for the social media handles and a link to your website or digital platform. So this information is really important to back up the credibility of your initiative. It helps us, the judges and the technical review committee, really see that your initiative is real. Those photos, those videos that you're posting on social media, it helps us see, what's happening on the ground, what's the action that's being taken. So don't worry if you don't have, if you're not active on all of these platforms, that's perfectly fine, but please do enter that information that you do have and you can share with us. How did you hear about the SDG Action Awards? Well, of course, this is just a simple drop down here, only takes a second to complete. And very importantly, the category to which you're applying. So I'm going to click Mobilize for survivors. They were the Mobilize winner in last year's edition of the awards. Here we have the definitions again. So you can have a quick read through, really think about, is this the right category you're applying to? If you're on the fence, if you think, I'm going to apply to Inspire, but maybe my initiatives actually connect. Well, don't worry about that too much. Select the one you think it's most appropriate for. If your initiative makes it as a finalist, or the technical review committee will look at the category you've applied to, and they'll look at where the strengths are in your application. And if they feel you're a better fit for another category, they'll then move you to that other category. So don't worry about it too much, but of course, if you can identify concretely which category you want to apply to, that would be fantastic. And then below, here's your opportunity to really write why you're a good fit for that category. So to justify why you've clicked that button. So with Survivors, Say No More, their campaign has reached 11 million people. They really are a classical true campaign in that sense. So they're a very good fit for the Mobilize category. And of course, we'd like to know what SDGs your initiative's focus is on. So for Survivors, I've put peace, justice, and strong institutions and reduced inequalities. We also have a button here for all SDGs if you're one of those initiatives that tackles them all. So you can click that. Once you're done, you can simply click Mark as complete and we'll meet you back at the main navigation board. Okay, on to the next section. So here we are at the story of your initiative. So here we want you to pitch us the initiative story in 200 words or less. So super short. So here we're asking, what is the name of the initiative? When and how did it begin? And what problem or challenge are you targeting? What is the process? How do you do what you do? What is the impact? What have you achieved? And how is your initiative innovative or transformative? How can your initiative go to scale? And has the initiative already been replicated elsewhere? So again, this is only 200 words. It's best to keep it short and simple. Really put yourself in the position of the reader. It could be that your initiative is already well known, but it could be that it's not well known. And because the review panel and the judges may not be familiar with your initiative, it's best to introduce your initiative really from zero. So who are you and what do you do in a nutshell, a very condensed version. So that's what this section is really trying to get at from this question. Now, in the second part, we're looking for a short 100-word answer on how this initiative is flipping the script by recalibrating, reimagining, reinventing, and rewriting what is possible. What new narrative does it have the power to create? So another short answer, 100 words or less. And really we're getting at how is your initiative flipping the script? How is this initiative, let's say, turning division into unity or apathy into action? What is different about this initiative and what is the new narrative in 100 words or less? So once you're done with this section, you can mark as complete. So here we find ourselves at the review criteria section. So in this section, we look at impact, approach, and scalability or replicability. And as I mentioned at the start of the tutorial, this is an important section which the review panel and judges will be looking at. So where in the previous questions or the previous section, we asked you to summarize your initiative story really in a nutshell. This is the section where you can have the opportunity to expand upon your answer more concretely and in more detail. And of course, the judges will be looking at the application as a whole. So your reference letters, which we'll talk about in a minute, your online presence, videos, photos, and or other supporting evidence. However, this section is very important. So starting with impact. So what is the impact of the initiative? So for example, numbers of people impacted, mobilized, numbers of sectors involved, maybe there was policy, legislation, or budgets influenced. And what are the tangible shifts in behavior for the SDGs here? All right, so in this section is really looking for the concrete numbers and the concrete impact. So here I've mentioned that the Survivors Say No More initiative has reached 11 million Ecuadorians, and we've included also the concrete numbers here in terms of their other mobilization strategies as well. So then we can go on to approach here. So how is the initiative, how is the strategy very innovative? Is it a breakthrough idea? And is the initiative also engaging those left behind? So how is it a new way of applying practical or tangible SDG solutions? How is this something new? Or maybe this is something that hasn't been done before. So how innovative, we're really looking for innovative approaches here in this section. So that's your opportunity to describe how your initiative is meeting that criteria. Then we have scalability, replicability. So does the initiative have the potential to be scaled up and or replicated in other contexts to accelerate the achievement of the global goals? Is there any evidence that scaling up or replication is already taking place? So it could be that the initiative has already created a ripple effect. Maybe it's being applied in other contexts already, whether that's at a local, national, or international level. And here's really the opportunity to describe how it's being replicated, or maybe also you could also include what are plans to scale up even more from where the point the initiative is at now. And last but not least, how would winning a UN SDG Action Award affect the initiative? Have you already received recognition or awards? So sharing the list of recognitions or awards you've received in the past also helps to add credibility to your initiative, especially when the review committee and the judges are looking over it. So don't think, if I include a long list of awards, maybe I won't be eligible because they'll see I've already had a lot of recognition, but that's not the case here. Really, the key part of the question is we want to know, how would this award affect your initiative? What would happen if you were to win this award? So here's where you explain that. And then we can save and meet you at the next section. All right, on to video pitch. So here we ask you to, using your written pitch from the story of your initiative section, to create and share a very short and powerful video of your initiative. It can be up to 2 minutes in length and ideally in landscape mode. So in terms of the content there, you're really going to want to pitch what is your initiative within 2 minutes and why it's awards worthy. when you're creating the video, think about your viewers as well. Ideally, you want everyone who sees that video, regardless if they've read your application or not, to understand what your initiative is exactly about. And you're welcome to use, of course, visual materials. We warmly encourage that. Photos, videos of your initiative in action. What's the concrete action happening on the ground? So any kind of content you can include relating to that is wonderful. When you paste the link of your video, please make sure it's open viewing access. And please make sure you include the full URL to ensure that our judges and review committee will be able to access your video. Okay, on to supporting content. So this section is optional. Here we ask you to upload up to 3 photos that help visualize the initiative and its impact. So it's just a simple upload button here. Ideally, the photos should be of the initiative in action. So what we're not looking for is basically, team members standing up holding SDG signs. We want to see the initiative, what's actually happening on the ground. So once you've uploaded those, again, the section is optional. A U mark is complete. Okay, now we're on to references and evidence. So here we ask for additional supporting documentation. So in this first section here, we're asking for links to articles, social media feeds, public recognition, or public comments that confirm the impact of your initiative. So typically what we see in stronger applications is links to online news articles on news platforms. And you can either include those here as links directly here, or if you have PDF versions of the files or another version, you're welcome to upload them directly here. Then we have supporting videos. So we ask you to share any additional links of videos that you feel help tell the story of your initiative. Again, we see here very often in stronger initiatives that we have links to online news interviews. We've had TED Talks in the past. And that video evidence, it doesn't have to be created by your organization or your initiative itself. It could be created by a partner initiative or an external news source. Then, of course, we have the section on recommendation letters. So here we ask recommendations from a partner who can confirm the scope and impact of your initiative. We ask that the recommendation letters be a maximum of 1 page in length and include the name, position, signature, and contact information of the referee. And of course, that should be on official letterhead. And the letter should address in what capacity they know the applicant and for how long, the applicant's commitment to and engagement with the SDGs, the approach, is it innovative? Does it have the potential to be scaled up and replicated? And is it being scaled up or replicated already? And why you are supporting the initiative with your letter of recommendation, and how could an SDG Action Award impact this initiative? So here, again, we're really just looking for a partner who can confirm the scope and impact of the initiative, and the judges and technical review committee may then also follow up with that referee. It is important to note here that you cannot send a recommendation letter, or you cannot upload a recommendation letter from your own initiative. The recommendation letters, they have to be from external initiatives. They can be from initiatives that have partnered with you in some capacity, but it can't be, the initiative you're applying with cannot be the same initiative providing the recommendation letter. So once you're done with that, you simply click Mark as complete, and we'll meet you back at the main navigation board. So once you finish each of the sections and they're marked with a green check mark, you're going to need to go to the terms and conditions, agree, and once that's a green check mark as well, you're free to submit your application using the submit button right here. Again, just noting that this one here, supporting content, this is optional. However, the more content you provide, the better it is for our technical review committee and our judges to assess the application. So before we end the tutorial, we want to go over some of the most frequently asked questions to make sure you're in the best position possible to apply or nominate to the UN SDG Action Awards. So one of the most frequently asked questions we receive is, may I reapply if I applied in previous years and wasn't selected? So the answer is yes. If you can prove that further impacts have been achieved through a previous submission, then yes, you are more than welcome to apply. Another question we receive is, may I submit an application in more than one category? So again, the answer is yes. However, these applications need to be distinct from each other. So you couldn't, for example, apply in the Connect category and the Mobilize category with the same initiative with the same application text. So if you were to apply in two categories, the initiatives themselves also need to be distinctly different from each other. So how do I find out if I win? So winners will be announced live at the 2023 UN SDG Action Awards ceremony, which will happen in the summer of 2023. However, finalists themselves, they're actually going to be notified at the beginning of July of their status. And they'll be notified through email. Another question we receive often is, may I submit an application in a language other than English? Yes, you may. You're more than welcome to submit your application in your native language. Just be aware that some members of our high-level judging panel may not be fluent in your native language. And in these cases, they would use translation software to assess your application. Another question we receive is, who is going to be assessing the application? So this is the high-level judging panel. And on our awards website right here, we always have a tab for the judges. Here you'll see the selection of the judges from the 2022 edition of the awards. And as you'll see, they're leaders from across sectors and geographies. The 2023 judges will be announced in the coming months, but for now you can already preview the ones that the judges we had last year. And before we close off, just a few notes here. So we also have this awards alumni tab. Here we highlight both the winners and the finalists of previous years, and we tell you about their stories. So you can click on each of them to learn more about their initiative. So this is Sub5ers. They were the Mobilize winner for the 2022 edition. And you can learn more about their initiative here. And there are a few resources as well. So with the alumni, as you can see, once you look through them, the types of initiatives that have been highlighted as winners and finalists in the past, they're all very diverse. There's no two initiatives here that are really alike. So there's a lot of diversity with the SDG Action Awards program. Finally, before we close off, we also have a media assets page. So here you'll find a link to our Trello board, which has creative assets, which you're welcome to share and share with your networks for the awards. We also have a social media package and a highlights video here from our 2022 awards ceremony. So you can get a sneak peek of what's upcoming for the 2023 ceremony. We also have our FAQs here in case you prefer to go over them in writing. So that concludes the tutorial for today. I hope you all have the information you need to submit an amazing application or nomination for the 2023 UN SDG Action Awards. And we look forward to receiving the application. So good luck.